Good morning and welcome to the first day of August. We're happy to be in a new month. You're here for the press conference we have here today. And let me say, today we have the honor of actually having another person stepping in for Mayor of the Day, Emerson Gunther, who is going to be an upcoming rising sixth grader at Creative Learning Academy. He is here with his father to be Mayor of the Day, but I'm going to let Emerson introduce himself and say anything he wants to.
Hi, my name's Emerson, and I go to Creative Learning Academy. I'm 11 years old, and I don't know.
Well, he said in his first duty, I appreciate it being. That's tough. That's tough to come up here. Did a great job. Always tough. Good to have you here. He did tell me his first thing today is that I had to do the press conference. That's what you said. Mm-hmm. We're gonna go visit the port and PPD later today. Chief's in the back. I was looking forward to having him. But it's good to see this. We certainly are investing in our youth. We put it out there for a number of things. I know Center for Independent Living, Carolyn Growley just had one of these, and we were happy to do that. I don't know who's going to win that one. We had certainly Creative Learning and EDS have asked us to do it. We were very happy to work with them. You sit with your dad, and then we'll look forward to go doing things for the rest of the day. I think it sort of speaks to one of the first things that we did last week that we're incredibly proud of is our summer intern program. This is the fourth year we've run that. We've managed to get 4 years out of it, even though it was tough for 2 summers because of COVID. I think in 2020 we had everybody was virtual, but we did have a couple of interns that helped us on some things that were virtual. I think we did about 10 our first year. In the second year, we went independent last year. We had about 10, and this year we had 15. So, we've certainly made the investment, however we're doing it, to help or work with any of the places we can with students. We also very much work active with Big Brothers Big Sisters. We've got a 2-year commitment with them that we've done the first year of, and we're about to start into the second year in mentoring those individuals. It's very important. And how many, Lawrence, do we have on that we're doing the mentoring for Big Brothers Big Sisters? 14. Okay, so we had about 14. Also, one of the things that it's always interesting to me to read. The good news is I know I saw one mayor said he was going to do a youth council. Well, the good news is regardless of who gets elected mayor, there will be a youth council. We'll be doing our second year youth council. It's in the budget for next year. I don't know what happens after that. It depends whether they choose to carry it forward. But regardless of who's elected mayor, there will be a youth council next year. We've done one already with around 30 students this past year. We'll be looking to have the same amount. Those applications will be coming out in the fall. Certainly, if you have high school students who want to be active in working with us, many of our summer intern programs participants. I know the one in the mayor's office was in our youth council. We did just have the recognition for those. I hated I was out of town in Washington, D.C., but we did have the recognition for it. I think it just goes, this is another attempt. We're working very hard to develop leaders for the future. We need good leaders for the future, and we need to be doing our job here at the City of Pensacola and what we can in doing that. So we're very happy to do what we can to invest in our youth, and certainly our youth intern program. The fourth year we've been able to run it, and certainly recognizing we're going to start our youth council again and have that a part of it. So we've got a lot happening here, and we'll continue to keep doing that with our youth. That does bring up the reason I was unfortunately not able to be here is I was in Washington, D.C. Had a good visit there. I just wanted a couple of things that I wanted to simply say, and I know I talked to Chief. I wanted to say an appreciation to I went to the museum. It was right next to our hotel for their fire and EMS museum. It was in an active station, multi-story, over 100-year-old fire station. They had the poles still in there, but they've closed them. They don't allow them to slide down the poles anymore. I know when I was Emerson's age, that was the best thing about going to Fire Station 1 when you were in Cub Scouts and those kind of things, is they still had the old pole back there at number 1. Of course, that's now the library, and we've moved over to Cervantes for Fire Station 1 now. But certainly appreciate the opportunity to see them, and we'll be sending them a patch, and I appreciate them giving us a patch. Other thing, I had certainly a number of meetings with a number of people, But one of the most interesting I had the opportunity to meet was the chairman of the Seminole tribe, Marcellus Osceola, who is, I guess, part of the Osceola. But had a chance to meet him there. We're coming up on Indigenous Peoples Day. I'd love to, I don't know if he'll be able to come up, but I told him, I said, you got the south end of the state, we've got the north end of the state. I did have the opportunity to meet him at the Florida House. That's a unique place and an opportunity. We're the only state of the 50 states that has an embassy in Washington. And I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Osceola, the chairman Osceola there for the Seminole tribe, and meet him at Florida House. But it's a truly unique thing if you're up there at Floridian. It's a great thing to be a part of. We were up there partially to deal with a couple of things dealing with FEMA and the port. Had good meetings. I actually met both senators and had a chance to talk with them at the reception there at the Florida House for both Senator Scott and Senator Rubio. I met with their staffs as well to talk about that. The other big thing that we really were up there mainly doing was working with the Pensacola and Perdido Bay Estuary Plan and trying to get it national recognition. I think that is an incredible program that I'm very happy to be a part of that. That was one of the things I worked hard through the Restore monies. That was a Pot 2 competitive grant that went it was competitive money that was all 5 states. We were successful in getting that here. I was on the BARC, chairman of the BARC when that came in. Big part about setting that up. Now, as I'm leaving mayor, I'm very proud that in our budget we put in $30,000 for the City of Pensacola's portion for the jurisdiction to support what they're doing at the Estuary Plan and where we go into the future. So very happy to be there. I think they are, they kind of bounced around a little bit with directors, but I think they've got the right person. Matt Posner is, I think going to be a great leader for that organization. I worked very, very hard to help Matt get to that position. I think leaving the county, while he did great things there, I think he's going to be able to do more incredible things for our community as the director for the Estuary Plan, and I think it's a win-win for all the jurisdictions in the area, mainly the environmental health of our bays. One of the things we were up there doing is very much working with Alabama to try to get national recognition. I had the opportunity to meet with the offices of Senator Shelby and Senator Tuberville, and I think during the summer recess here in the next couple of weeks, I did have a chance to talk with the Chief of Staff for Carl's office, and I hope to meet with both the congressman and his staff in Mobile sometime during this the congressional recess and get over there. I'd like to also have the opportunity to sit down and talk with we sort of got stuck with COVID, but haven't gotten back over there to see Mayor Stimson. So I'd love to have the opportunity to talk with him as well. But that came out of much of our DC trip was really trying to work about the Estuary Plan. Why is it so important? There are 9 different jurisdictions, local jurisdictions, that are working together collaboratively. And the idea of the Estuary Plan is it takes the politics out of what are the solutions for our waterways and to deal with what's scientifically there. Certainly, one of the things that the Estuary Plan is helping us do is move forward with a plan which we've discussed here at length for Carpenter's Creek that we think is going to be the ultimate solution for getting Carpenter's Creek moving things better and making it better for the creek as well as downstream the bayou and everything else. So again, they are helping us with a grant right now. We've participated with them, Mark Jackson, in trying to get a grant for the planning for what came forward from the Wood group that they spoke right here in this room and talked to us about what is the solution for us for the urban runoff syndrome that we deal with. And so I think those solutions, those are the kind of things that can help with. The other thing that Estuary Plan has been helping us with is very much at Hollis T. Williams as well. We've worked with them on that as well, and I think going forward, that's the whole idea of having the Estuary Plan to help take some of the politics out of those things and really focus on what are the solutions on a long-term viability that gets us set up behind plans that work. So again, very happy to be a part of that and trying to get national recognition. I think there are it's either 27 or 28. They're either 27 or 28 current estuary plans nationally, and they haven't had a new one. It was 27 or 28. I think it's 28. I think it's 27 estuary plans, and it's been 28 years since they've added a new one. I know it's been a while since they've added a new one, and we hope the newest one will be the Pensacola Perdido Bay estuary plans, and we've been working to get that designation. One of the ways that certainly sort of spins into our next thing that we did last week was the Bruce Beach groundbreaking, and certainly we have some challenges there with the environment, but I think that's where it's so good to have somebody like an estuary plan that really helps you pull those together. Certainly, we've managed to find a way to work with ECUA to try to work on what we can do, and so we're doing that without that. But again, the estuary plan ultimately can bring those jurisdictions together and trying to solve those solutions. But we made a commitment on that with Bruce Beach, and I think I said that clearly the other day about what we're doing there at Bruce Beach, but it was great to see the groundbreaking. And I know there were some challenges as we had the groundbreaking. We had multiple people trying to do multiple things with that park, but I think if you listen to Councilwoman Broughton, you very much saw why it was important that we did the things to recognize the history. I know there's been some things saying, well, there's too much infrastructure there in it. But I think at the same time, part of that park is it's going to be a natural park. And I think we're excited that it's going to be as natural as we can make it work. But we've got to give access to everyone. And I think certainly going back to, certainly from the Center of Independent Living and Carolyn Growley, very much working to make sure that we give access to everyone. And that's part of it. We want everybody to be able to access it, not just the condition it was now where some people don't have access. But the other part is making sure that that we did recognize the historical significance. I think Councilwoman Broughton did an incredible job of bringing that, that message. And whenever you're trying to balance everything, it's hard to make a park for everyone or everyone gets 100%. But the one thing I truly believe about that park is there's something that's going to be in that park for everyone. It might not be 100% of what you want, but there is something there for every Pensacolian. And when you have 55,000 residents, that's a lot of people to try to find something to put together. So very happy that that is underway. When I came in this morning to meet Emerson, I saw the contractor downstairs, so I know that we're already working on things there and getting that continuing to move forward. So it should be about a year for the completion, so probably this time next year. Of course, weather, I'm constantly told, I see everybody looking at me on giving any guarantees of dates. We can't control weather, but without any weather delays, it should be a year, but anything can happen with weather, and so we certainly understand that. One of the other things that happened while I was out of town that I really hate that I missed was the Maxwell Center grand opening. But again, that's something the city has been working very diligently in a way that we can do a better job of giving shelter and service to our homeless, but at the same time say, hey, urban camping is just not getting the solutions for us and what we want. It's not producing better things for those who are experiencing homeless, but certainly doing the best thing for our citizens, for our businesses, and everything else. Rather than working with conflict, why can't we find a way, much like what we're doing at the environmental level with the Estuary Plan? We need to be working collaboratively in solutions that work to move the community forward. And I think the Maxwell Center is one of those. I think we've got the bed and the intake, seeing Lawrence back there working and moving forward. We're still going with our program and figuring out how we integrate people in and get services in and do that. I met the other day with both Vinny and Vinny Wibbs, who runs REAP, and then Melissa Johnson from Fearless. They are doing an incredible job of working through this process and helping us find ways that we can work with our homeless and move that. That's a place I saw challenges with it, and certainly in DC while I was there. It is facing all of our communities. You go anywhere, everybody's having challenges with this issue. So again, how do we do it and have a plan to where we need to go? Again, I think we're starting in the right direction with the shelters. But again, our whole goal is not to get people stuck in the REAP Maxwell Center. That's why we need the transitional housing, the phase 2. Really appreciate what Channel 3 talked about with the next phase with the transitional housing. How do we move into that? I would love the county to pick it up. I know I saw I can't remember the gentleman from Arizona, but I know they're still looking and talking with the coalition for reducing homelessness. So I hope, I'm very hopeful that something happens with that, because it is all about housing and how do we begin to move people in a direction in that. I also know Melissa works incredibly hard, and we had some discussions about different things and some things we can look at, some of the challenges we do have also with some of our individuals who have mental health issues, and we're going to continue to work with that with Lakeview and how we can do. But I tell you, we've got good people working it. We just need to have the electorate that's willing to support the good people who are already behind this, and certainly John Johnson and that whole team have my support, and certainly Connie Bookman. They've put forward a lot of effort, and that coalition will continue to try to support them as they find ways to find solutions that we can support. But I think Maxwell is going to move us very much in that direction. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. The best part about it, I saw the 2 council members who were there were the 2 that voted against it, but they see how important it is in the mission of what we're doing, and I think it was awesome to see. A couple of things that are happening this week that we'd like to give you an update on. ECUA recycling update. The new estimate for the reopening has been September 9th, 2022. Recycling for the city's sanitation customers has been temporarily on hold since June 16th due to ECUA and repairs at their facility. I know I was at a town hall thing in East Hill where they were talking about this, and again, it's very challenging, and we're not happy. We'd love to have, we very much would love to see recycling, but it needs to happen with a partner that's the right place. For us to try to pull the contract with the ECUA and go do something with somebody else, by the time we bid the contract, we'd turn around and be right back at ECUA. And I think the experience the city experienced last time certainly is the recycling materials market dropped. It's good to have somebody like ECUA, a governmental entity that is working with this to deal with our recyclables. I think it's much better. It puts us in less limbo. We saw people immediately drop the city and be in this problem without having a relationship. So while we're disappointed in this repair, we certainly understand, and this is what happens with anything. You have enough equipment, you work through these things. We understand there are problems, and they're working through it, and we're going to continue our partnership with ECUA on that. The tan recycling cans will continue to be collected, but the materials will not be recycled. In the meantime, customers are urged to maintain positive recycling habitats, and we will continue to keep you informed as we move forward. Reminder, the Doyle Skatepark groundbreaking, another big event that will be happening. The city invites the public to a groundbreaking on Tuesday, August 2nd at 4 o'clock, kicking off the construction of the Blake Doyle Skatepark. Groundbreaking event will take place at the future skate park located at the Hollis T. Williams Park under the I-110 along North Hain Street between Jackson and Larua. The skate park is an overall transformation of Hollis T. Williams Park through the joint project of the City of Pensacola and Escambia County. So again, that's one of those projects I think it will continue to develop now that we've got the plan done. We are working with people like, again, the Estuary Plan to work on stormwater and what we can do to resolve that. Also this week, this reminder, we'll have a District 5 Town Hall meeting with Councilwoman Broughton on August 3rd. I'll be hosting that with Councilwoman Broughton on Wednesday at the Chappie James Museum, located at 1606 Dr. Martin Luther King Drive here in Pensacola. The evening will kick off with open tours of the Chappie James Museum from 5 to 6, followed by a town hall meeting at 6 o'clock in the museum courtyard. The event is free and open to the public. We hope you will be there and have a chance to see what's going on there with the Chappie James Museum, and so we're very excited about that. How to do business with local government workshop, August 3rd. I see Brian Wire in the back. I know he and the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber of Commerce and the City of Pensacola will host a free workshop for local businesses on how to establish a working relationship with local government. We've continued to work through these for a while. We think these are the best way for us to be building small business enterprises that we can work with here, certainly in the minority community, but all of our small businesses. We're trying to find ways to help you find ways to integrate with us so that we can work with you. The workshop will be held on Wednesday, August 3rd from 5:30 to 7 in the Central Office Complex conference room. located at 3363 West Park Place in Pensacola. This is right there by Fairfield, the county building right there behind, basically the Midtown office complex there that the county has just off of Fairfield. So we hope you will go there and have a chance to see all the things that are happening for small businesses, how they can do business with our local governments. Also, I wanted to make you aware of a couple of things that certainly have happened. I saw David this morning, and I see Amy in the back, Tootle. We are working at the Maritime Park. We have the materials now to get the fountains back open and the pond at Community Maritime Park. The only problem is, obviously, the challenge, we got to clean up the pond. That needs to happen before we can put the fountains back in. We have worked through that process, and we should be having somebody contracted to this week, should be starting and getting that pond cleaned back up, and then we'll put the fountains back out there again. Unfortunately, we had we lost both fountains, went down, and of course we're dealing with supply side issues, so it took us a while to get those back, but they are back, and we have the materials, and now we're in the process of getting it cleaned up, so we should have that back open and operating. So we'll get that done. And then finally, I know coming up here I guess in August, we'll be taking another vote on the mayor's salary. Hadn't had a chance to comment on that since it last came up. Again, I very much appreciate Councilwoman Myers acknowledging how challenging this position is, and what you have to do with an airport and port. Not to mention that while I've been here, those are on record paces. So again, those things we continue to take care of. But again, I guess I'll go down as the one who was the best deal, because certainly, I don't think the mayor's salary necessarily needs to be increased. I think if you were going to do that or do anything that you were going to work with on that, it'd be better to give that salary. Every dollar you spend, you don't get a chance to spend somewhere else. I would rather spend that money working with those at the very least and getting all those individuals up. We're working to move that on the people that we had that were below what the new minimum wage will be, to get them up to that. That was certainly my recommendation to Amy Lavoie, that we work in any way we could with that. $34,000 that will be coming out of that, I think is just, again, I think you can get the same stuff done without necessarily having to do it. And while I saw one candidate, mayoral candidate, was saying he was going to give 20%, I guess that still makes me the best deal at 34%. So again, I have a hard time seeing where the justification of where we are and what we need to get done and the mission of what we are. I'd much rather invest that in my team and what they do. I think that, we just got done with our engagement survey. We moved up 2 points, Casey. I know nationally, even though we went down in satisfaction, I think overall we're seeing challenges, but we were at 69% satisfaction, and we had 60% of our employees engaged, which is actually a slight increase of engagement. I think 1%, but we also went up 2 percentage points in our national ranking. We now sit at 67%. So I think investing in our team and what they do, that's where the rubber meets the road. They're going to be the ones out there that are taking care of the business and getting stuff done. So I think it's a much better for us to do investment in how we can invest in them and the team to make sure they're taking care of all of us in this city. So again, that's kind of where I stand on some of these things, but I'm happy to answer your questions. And again, Mayor Emerson has told me that I'm going to answer these questions for him today, so I'm happy to. Jim.
On the salary increase, are you planning on vetoing that if it passed for a second?
Well, Jim, I think it's always interesting. We had that one time where I find it interesting. I think y'all got a thing tomorrow for future candidates. You need to talk to them because all of a sudden one of the candidates all of a sudden took a very different position from what they did as a council member, and then said I should have vetoed it. But it was like a 7-0 vote. If the vote's already going to be a case where it's already beyond the veto, why should I veto it? I think if it was a 4-3 vote, I might veto it. I mean, if it's a 4-3 vote, that's something different. But if it already passes in a number that's beyond something that would be able to be vetoed, then I don't really see the purpose in necessarily doing it. So, you know, I think we had one council member reference when they started a whole thing about the moratorium, and then that was a 7-0 vote, and that I should have then now, and in this huge retrospect a year later, should have vetoed that, and yet it was a 7-0 vote. I don't see what the productivity of vetoing a 7-0 vote necessarily is. You know, from that standpoint, I mean, that clearly shows the council's intention of what they want to do. So we'll work with those. But if it's a margin where that makes sense and the veto would change some things potentially, Jim, I would be happy to look at that. Thank you for asking that question.
Well, I guess another topic. You talked about the transitional housing for the homelessness. Commissioner Jeff Bergosh posted on his blog on Friday that he's tried to ask the city to have a joint meeting on homelessness.
I think we've got it set up. I think we had a few things that worked, but my understanding is from Denisha that we have that set up. I know Commissioner Bergosh has his idea that he wants to create a camp up in Molino and create some kind of a camp up there. Again, I don't think anything that is, I just don't think that's necessarily workable. He wants to do a camp, and I know put people in tents and provide bus services back and forth. I don't know that you're going to get people that necessarily want to go do that in that direction and being cantonment. If the county wants to do urban camping, of course that's not urban camping. That's really not even suburban camping. But if they want to go pursue that, they're welcome to. I know talking with the people in Pinellas County, they were very clear that you know that's probably not what you want for your community. But I'm just going by the different places we've seen. And certainly, I don't think urban camping works at all. I mean, those are certainly challenges that are there. But I know I've talked with Jeff multiple times, Commissioner Bergosh, about that, and we do have apparently. I think we had some issues trying to get back to them. But when Denisha talked to her last week, I thought we had gotten a date from Dawn, and we got some things working, and that's going to happen. I think in the next month or so. That was my understanding when I talked with Denisha last Tuesday. Is that she was getting the date from Dawn, and what the council could do, and then we were circling back up on those dates.
There's the city. There's been discussions at the council and about the city using this affordable housing to buy maybe a street of properties that are in the county. They're in the city, but belong to the county.
Yes, we don't want to buy them necessarily. We're hoping the county will give them to us, and we'll work in a program that will fund itself. Yes.
Will that be a topic as well?
We would love to be talking about that. Yes. No, we've already talked about it. We've talked a little bit with them on it, and I think we've got a solution that is going to move that forward. Again, I think we talked about that a while back, and I think Marcy came to. It was either May or June. She came here. I think it was May. She came to the agenda review and brought forward what we want to do. Absolutely.
I guess I'll keep asking questions. So on Friday, the UWF set up a finalized study on the water pollution around Bruce Beach, and have you had a chance to see that?
I have not had a chance to see that, but I did hear about the recommendation on the radio today that they think that we should put in some type of vault system, a vortex vault, which again, we've done that everywhere. I think that would be very good. Jim, I know we had some discussion for maybe 2 years that somehow these vortex vaults were creating all these problems. We found out in June that wasn't the case, and they actually do great things and help our environment. So if you're asking us to look at that, that's an easy solution. I think that's something we could do. I kind of laughed. I said, "You mean you're coming to me with the vortex vault with a solution when we got all the grief about the vortex vault for so long?" I think those are things we can find how to do in our infrastructure. We're already building and putting in vortex vaults. I think we just find a way to put that in and slide it into our normal work that we're doing under the fund that we get for the stormwater. So I think that would be easy to do. I just don't know where we are on the scheduling, but that should be something. We've been doing that all over the city.
Yeah, the study also said that kind of centered the source of the pollution to I believe it's, I can't remember, Bruce and.
Roos is one of the hot points right here, yes.
And they suggested doing more, either ECUA or the city doing more studies. Are you all going?
We are in the process. I think if you remember, if you were here when Bruce was here, he's already doing that. We've done that we found out though, because there are multiple governmental buildings. There's the Chappie James building, there's this building, and the courthouse. So we wanted to test all of those. We've tested those. Those are not where the problem is coming from. So we absolutely now are going to be working on continuing to work in those areas that we know are the hot spots and deal with cameras and deal with other dye tests we can to figure out where it is. So that's a process that we'll continue to work with ECUA on.
And is ECUA going to be the lead agency on that?
I mean, ECUA is the one working with that, but I see Amy talking, wanting to say something back there. Amy, you want to come forward? Amy Tootle's coming forward. She's our Public Works Director. I know she's been the team leader working with ECUA on this.
Sure. ECUA and the City of Pensacola have been working collaboratively to help source out where these issues are coming from. So I wouldn't say it's one agency or another. It's both together working collaboratively along with our interactions with FDEP.
But we've already done the work on all the governmental buildings.
We've done the work on the 3 governmental buildings, and those showed that there was no illicit connections. So now the next step is we are in the process of formulating the next plan to then try to figure out where this source of the bacteria is coming from.
But it would be a lot of having cameras look up there, see what the
Yes, I mean, it's gonna be a multi-phased approach trying to figure it out, whether it's cameras, whether it's detergent testing. There's probably gonna be a bunch of different things that we will be doing to try to source it out. Some of the challenges we have with our storm sewer systems is we are tidally influenced. So that's part of the challenges in coming up with the plan, is that you have to do testing during certain times because of the tidal influence.
Is there any idea of a time frame for how long this test will take?
No, I think it's coming up with locations and just working our way upstream to try to figure out where the sources are. I can't give you an exact time frame because we don't know where it's at. And so, we are coming together with ECUA. They've had some illnesses in the past couple of weeks. We've had some illnesses, so trying to get staff back together to formulate that plan. But we are actively working on that to get that plan together to bring that forward.
And I think overall, certainly the construction of anything down there at the park, it's going to take a year plus. I think there's going to be enough time, Jim, for us to get all that stuff done to identify sources. I have not seen the report. I guess, have you seen the report that came from okay. I was told that the other report was to somehow divert the stormwater that was in Washerwoman's Creek to something else. That's going to be challenging. It is possible if we get the opportunity to do what we want to do with the biggest intake, which is over here at over there by Joe Patty's and going into there. We did some work in doing that, but we'd love to do much more of the stormwater on the flooding that we have, just because we have old pipes coming down Main Street. That's one of the things. It's been one of the things I've tried to do. The biggest thing, I think I've talked about it from the press conference before, the best thing we could do on Main Street, if we could get that rail line out of there. And again, at this point, I think the only rail user, and I mean, Bell Steel was at one time leaving. I don't know what their plan is, but I'm not sure how much rail they use. But if we could get that rail line out of there and get that back in, that would give us a great opportunity to really extend the sidewalks, but more importantly, put in additional large pipes. What we really need, there, and it's hard to explain this, it's 60-inch pipes. Now I'll explain to you what 60 inches is. That's 5 feet. So if you could almost walk down the middle of these pipes. That's the pipes that we need at the very end of it. We need everything bigger. But to do that, we really need an area where we could put that in, which, to redo Main Street in the right-of-way there. If we got the railroad back over there, that would be the perfect spot for us to put those infrastructure improvements that would really improve water flow, water quality, just flooding. It would do water quality. It would really help a lot of different things, and there might be the possibility to divert some of this water over from here. Now, again, the problem is always gravity whenever you're talking about moving water, because those are things. But if the city wants to look at that expense in the future, yeah, I mean, that'll be up to future councils to decide if they want to spend the money on that. But the problem I see in diverting is just the sense of where are you diverting it to, and then how much money are you going to spend to do it. I think the more productive way for us to do is to find out the connections and get the sanitary sewer out of the stormwater. And so we'll continue to work on that as we move forward. Well, on behalf of Mayor Emerson, who's about to go take a tour of the port and the PPD, I appreciate you being here today, and we will look forward to seeing you next week.